I was always trying to. I probably shouldn't even tell you about this, but my sister, she's 5 years younger. And little sisters can be a pain in the butt, you know.
I have a little sister 4.5 years younger, so I totally get it.
I remember this one time I was talking to these older boys. I was probably 8, and these older guys were 9. And my sister comes up, and she embarrasses the dickens out of me. She pulls her pants down. See, well, my sister pulling her pants down, I'd seen that 1,000 times, you know. But in front of my buddies, that I was trying to make the scene for of what a smooth guy I was. And she was embarrassing me. That's what she was doing, see. And that's how I was always trying to create the image of being a boy, a bigger boy. I was bigger. I was smarter. I was. Oh yeah, ooh. I love that thing in Popular Mechanics where they had the guy throwing sand on the sissy's face. Boy, I wanted to be a guy with big muscle, you know.
And being in the Navy is that perfect opportunity for that. You're on board all day. Now, actually, a quick question. Did you guys, because it sounds like you were a very close-knit crew,
Yep.
that, as you described, you don't necessarily have proper uniformity, but are in your work utilities because accomplishing the work is a lot more important. But it still sounds like you also practice military courtesies, like in the effect of saluting a ranking officer, but not into the effect that you have to be all dressed and proper and dress whites or something to that degree.
No.
So with that being said, did you guys ever do like any PT on board or anything like that by chance?
We didn't. How we go on the beach and play tag football. Yeah.
Can you describe that? Like, were you guys just on R&R or just passing by like Savo Island and we're like, hey, let's
exactly. Yeah. So we would do that. We didn't go swimming because that's very dangerous area to swim on. And no, we always had stuff going on. And in the evening, we had a dog on board the ship too. Just straight on, and we got about a nice, like a collie mix there. Chief, and I would love to go walking with Chief at night in the evening, and just walk through a little village, and the people in the South Pacific have the strangest, most beautiful harmonics in what they sing, not like nothing I've ever heard before, and they're all doing it in their houses back in here. And I would stop, me and my dog, and just listen. It's just gorgeous music, and so there was things to do that you just do them. That's all, and. But otherwise, you say, what do you do all the time? Well, we used to have, also you had stuff like V-discs. Everything they had a V-disc, you know. And they'd have records of like Harry James and stuff like that. And then some of the hillbilly music. And we had a couple of musicians, professional musicians on board who happened to be professional, but they weren't playing anything not on our ship because that was left at home, you know. But they had this music that these guys, there was pros, they didn't like that music, so in the middle of the night, those discs magically disappeared. Somebody, haven't seen them yet. So they called through your music to figure out what it was, and the guys recording. Every guy on the ship also had a name, a nickname. Like one guy, he was pretty heavy. They called him Lard. Hey, Lard, come over here. It wasn't an insult. Hey, Lard, and you too, Fatso, come on, get over here, come on, do stuff, you know. And it wasn't old chief. In fact, one time, one guy was hovering down to another. He says, "Hey, Hike, get up here!" And the chief, the commanding officer at that time, was Jewish. Ooh, did he come up? He said, "I do not ever want to hear that word again on this ship." That was it. And
if it dies, it's fine. Yeah, that's fine if that one dies. So long story short, so you guys used insults just like old guys in a daring way, just to pass the time. But it does sound like there was a modicum of respect that when that CPO, who was Jewish, basically said, "Don't use that again," it was respected and followed.
Yeah. So it was, there was no bully or anything like that. That didn't exist.
Did you guys actually have a brig on board by chance?
Oh, what?
Did you guys actually have a brig on board if anything happened?
Well, we had a place where we could stick a guy, but I remember we had one guy who we got him on board ship, and he broke into some of the windows of people broke into their house. So we arrested him and took him, and they had me take him to the station. They said, "Shoot the bastard if he tries to run." So, and they meant it. I mean, it was nothing. It was, and anyway.
Was this in Australia by chance or New Zealand?
No, this was out in the middle of islands someplace.
So these were native homes that he was breaking into?
Native people, yeah.
Interesting.
People. But he was a transferee in. He was a new guy came on board, and he saw the way we ran, so hey, I'll break into a home. I thought, how stupid. You know, nobody would do it because you didn't have to worry about what you left around and all that. And so, anyway.
And basically being a native population, it's not like they're going to be in possession of anything really substantial.
Oh, no, I thought this guy's he's stupid.
He's just trying to get in trouble to get off or something of that degree. Now, speaking of R&R, did you guys ever go to Pavavu or like up near the Palau chain by chance?
No, I never did that, I remember.
What about Christmas Island or anything with the coconut crabs?
Well, we went to other islands, but I don't remember specifically. The only islands I really, we spent a lot of time on Guadalcanal because I was after it was taken, they kept fortifying that more, so there was a lot of action around there.
When you say a lot of action, more or less patrols, or were there still enemy activity? You were there.
No, they came and go. Their activities at night, the Japs would send stuff down. They sent a battleship down, and they shelled the harbor, or not the harbor, the airfield there. They had this Henderson field, and so they kept that busy all the time. And but there was just a lot of stuff going.
A lot of movement, transferring, and stuff like that.
True.
Yeah, because Henderson at that point, because Rabaul was still pretty much the main target in your area.
Oh yes.
And by the time that you arrived on scene, was Rabaul still owned by the Japanese?
Yes.
So did you guys ever, when you were patrolling, ever come under attack by any Japanese float planes or anything to that degree?
No, we did not. We were not that. We had aircraft guns and stuff like that, but no, we won't. We weren't. They were pushed back far enough on that.
They weren't entering your area of operations.
No.
And it sounds like you didn't really come into contact with any enemy vessels or submarines?
We did not. As to submarines, the submarines and how they function and so forth, you're never sure when you're fighting them, whether you sunk them or not, because there's so many ways they can be. They can sit still on the bottom, and you don't know where they are. Well, the Germans came up with something special. They called it. I don't remember the name, but they had
Snorkel?
well, snorkel. They all have snorkels eventually, but this was so they could send debris up. So all of a sudden, all these stuff's coming. If you say, "Oh, we got that guy,"
Got an oil slick.
yeah, but that wasn't ordinary. So they have lots of ways of. They're very hard to keep after.
For PC-597, was there ever a time that you thought you came into contact with a Japanese submarine and came to battle stations or general quarters by chance?
I would say not, no. And but it was always in the background because have you heard of
The Indianapolis?
Indianapolis? Exactly. That's not too far where we were. That's
Exactly,
some
that's what I
one-star
figured.
stuff, and like that, like. I know when I was reading about it that they said they were convicting the skipper because he was not zigzagging, and the Japanese commander said it wouldn't matter. I had them. I mean, they were, and so it's. But how they would determine, so they wouldn't send any. Well, you need a faster ship than we had to be with in Indianapolis because they have no submarine gear whatsoever on them. So even if they heard one, they wouldn't know. I mean, that is dumb. But they were totally sure there's nothing there. No, we know that's true. And they were so wrong.
And that's what I try to illustrate is that even regardless of where you were in the Pacific, the Indianapolis just shows that the Japanese were still fairly patrolling all of those areas.
They were, and they had the best torpedo, bar none.
The Longlands.
And they were excellent equipment. And in fact, they had some on planes that they had planes on some of them. I've never seen or heard that, but I don't think that was down around where we were. But
Are you talking about planes like on a torpedo, so to speak?
pardon?
Like when you say planes, what do you mean with a torpedo?
No, I meant I'm not sure how they used them. I think they used them for reconnaissance.
Oh, what you're talking about is like small two-man, like a man torpedo or something to that?
No. As I understand, this was a large submarine that actually had a.
Yes. That's the I-400 class. They actually, what they were initially tasked with, they actually conducted one operation against Pearl Harbor. I believe that was in '43. Their big operation that was canceled was to hit the Panama Canal. But there are these giant ones with a hangar in the back with like two float planes. I know exactly what you're talking about. Now, interestingly enough, what most people don't know, well, you especially would know, is that necessarily as we were moving through these island chains, we weren't taking every occupied island. There were still occupied islands like the Japanese were holding Wake Island until the end of the war.
Oh yes,
Within your area that you were operating within the Marshall Islands, possibly up in the Gilberts, was there any scuttlebutt about possibly any Japanese holdouts that might take pot shots at?
That was we were given the thing to search kind of to see if they're, but very lightly because they didn't want us to go there with we aren't equipped for that, you know, and but that was part of what we're always looking at. There's a possibility of somebody someplace.
Now, training in the event of coming into contact with the enemy, if I recall, PC-597 had a 3-inch on the front.
Let me tell you about that. Could I use the bathroom for a minute?
Please, by all means. Yeah, that's perfect timing. And take your time. I got you right here.
Okay.
She's got you. What was that?
You can plug that one in?
Yeah, exactly. You might keep me here all day, Don. There's so many questions. We're already at an hour.
Well,
Okay.
here's the bathroom. Are you having fun?
Oh, yeah.
You're enjoying it?
Oh, yes,
Okay, good.
yes. Thank you. Oh, here
Sorry,
we go.
I wasn't watching
No.
the door there. I'm so sorry. Oh, your thing is falling here. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where he put, he put that in the pocket, right?
Oh, was it? I wasn't sure where
Let's
it
go
came.
ask him where he wants it. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna be like another 20 minutes, okay?
Oh, sure.
Yeah? Okay. His
How you
card.
doing?
Where did you put this thing in his pocket? Is that where you put it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We just need to hide it a little bit?
Nah, when he sits down, that actually is.
Okay.
Should be okay.
Okay.
And we're gonna go for about another 20 minutes at max, and then we're gonna get you to lunch and ready for the Super Bowl.
Oh, all right. Now, when you're in here, you kind of lose, I lose contact with what time it is. Is
Oh,
it
my
morning or night or?
Thank you. That's what always gets me about talking to submariners. Well, I've only met a few of them, but it's like, how could you be on board underwater for 3 effing months and not go crazy? I couldn't do it.
Oh, that's.
I need to have video games or poker every night or every hour to keep
Oh,
me.
yeah. I mean, I can see where they need special people, and
That's why the submariners apparently have like the best galleys in the entire fleet.
oh, I'm sure of it.
Like their meals are like 5 stars.
Oh,
And,
well,
like,
I'll bet they are.
they have to be, because like when I went back, I went to Rhode Island about 2.5 years ago with 8 World War II veterans, and half of them were Navy, a couple of other were Army Air Force, and we were invited to go onto a Virginia-class attack submarine, active duty. And I remember when we were going down the hatch, immediately you just see torpedoes everywhere. And then you see bed pads under every torpedo. You see a bed pad on top of a torpedo, and you're like, "Is that a rack?" Like, yeah, that'll be my rack later tonight, right when we start going out of port. You guys literally just sleep anywhere you can, but there's just no windows. It's all the same
Yeah,
artificial light, and it's just so like sense numbing.
Yes.
But I can understand too, being on board like in the engine room. You probably might have the similar, like on a destroyer escorter.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You're just inside all day with machinery.
Oh, I would say, that's, whew, that would be tough duty.
Did you stop?
Actually, can you do me a favor, honey, and hit the record on that?
Okay, can I fix his pockets?
Oh yeah, please.
Move the water, right? Can
Oh no, you can keep that in.
this thing in the pocket?
Did I put it?
There we go. Now you can't see it, right?
Oh, I see.
I don't know, you need to check again.
Is that okay?
I thought
Okay.
I thought I may have dropped it in the urinal there. I wasn't.
Oh no!
No.
That would not be good. Okay, is it on?
Yes, we are good. We are good. I'm gonna tighten up this shot just a little.
We had a little. We were our type of show. We were kind of called upon for a lot of garbage details too. I mean, theoretically, not garbage is garbage. I mean,
I know what you
just
mean.
give it to them.
Yeah.
But well, as an example, when they started sending some of the black people back to their islands, because there were a lot of workers being. So we were picked to take some of these people back to these islands. And some of these islands haven't been visited by a Navy ship in 100 years, literally. And so you're not sure where the open water is, where the
Sandbars.
yeah, all that stuff, yeah. And we went aground a couple of times. In fact, we had to go back to Pearl to have our propeller repaired because we hit something, and when it's out of balance, the propeller is all balanced. Nobody else could balance it except Pearl.
Because you had to get into the dry dock.
Yeah, you have to have dry dock. You're right, and.
But you guys were on a little patrol craft going from the Solomons to Pearl?
Yeah,
A lot of open ocean.
yeah. Well, it was on our way home though. So but there was no place else to go.
Did you guys make a port stop at Johnston Island before going?
No, we didn't. We just went straight on in. Yeah, and we were tied up there for about 30 days, waiting our turn and stuff like that. But but anyway, it was fun. Fun, you might say. These guys they're nice people. They have the hill people and you have the ocean people. The two do not talk. In fact, they will not allow the head man of the hill people to lead the other ones because they have this that you'd knife me if you had a chance just because they are that type of people.
Papua New Guineans, because unbeknownst to most people, Papua New Guinea is, if I can recall, the largest island in the world, and 80% of the world's remaining unknown languages are of those tribes in Papua New Guinea. In fact, they are still going through points of contention where Port Moresby is to the town of Buna, on the Owen Stanley mountain chain right there. They're still coming across areas that have not been touched since the battle took place in February of 43, and it's perfectly preserved. But now we're learning about the terrain, and they're saying that there's villages that have been bisected or separated for hundreds of years, even though they're 100 yards apart. They're so culturally vastly different and language different that they consider themselves enemies. And that there's videos that you can see even as of this year, Papua New Guineans using those giant bows and arrows, and they have those little grass skirts and on those hills hitting each other. It's like, okay, that's not changed. But it really puts into perspective when you're saying, though, that the hill people will not follow the ocean people. They're just vastly different.
They don't trust them. We would put the boss boy, Joe and one of the rest of us would stand up on the bow and, Joe, where do we go? He'd point the way down. No, you're going to go this way,
Was there any time that he actually went the wrong direction and he was like, oh, not this way?
Yeah. And we were totally in their hands as to how to go through these little gaps. And of course, that's how it's easy. Joe doesn't really know what the water level is and so forth. Anyway.
How did you guys replenish foodstuffs, fuel? Did you go into port, or did you?
Yeah, we had to go into port. Yeah, they didn't really have any vessels to supply us, and actually, Guadalcanal was quite a base as far as supplies and stuff. I mean, was one of them.
At that point, I have a really good friend that actually lives at Henderson Field. He's a tour guide there. So he sends a lot of photos, and what really got me was looking at Guadalcanal just being this little blip on the north of the island in the center. It wasn't like at the tail east end or the west end, and it was just at the mouth of the Montanagua River.
Teteru?
Yeah, Teteru and Alligator Creek, all those guys. And I knew a couple of canal veterans that described the actual fighting there, so when describing the Japanese shelling it, I couldn't even imagine, but how grandiose Guadalcanal became as a result of that action. I didn't really realize that it was also a huge replenishment point for you guys in the Navy. So it sounded like you guys got all your foodstuffs and would just go there. So you didn't go down to Port Moresby or Australia or anything like that?
No.
Rats. I say rats for you because you'd have had some fun R&R down there.
I say.
Now, when you guys were doing rest and recuperation, did you guys just pretty much stay at Guadalcanal, or did you guys go anywhere else?
There weren't many others that were suitable, primarily because of the ground cover or whatever it was. And but we didn't search. It was just, hey, let's get a game going. Okay. There was nothing really organized about it.
So I'm going to have some out of chronological questions just because they're on the top of my mind. What happened to Chief, the dog?
I never knew. disappointedly wondered that, because he was a dog that we all loved, had run out of the ship. I don't know. He was there when I came aboard, and when we were at sea, we were taking waves over the bow all the time. So we would have a lot of flying fish that hit the ship and got killed. And then, so old Chief really loved that after the fresh meat of fresh fish. So that was part, but.
Now, speaking of where you guys were operating being near the equator, did you guys ever conduct a King Neptune's court for passing the equator or going into that area or anything like
No, that was on the ship that took me over. I was on this troop ship, and that's where I got to kiss the belly button of the Hage.
your shellback ceremony?
Yeah. And, but otherwise, no.
Now, did your vessel ever incur any casualties during its time of operation when you were on board?
Not really.
Fell overboard or anything like that?
No, I can't think offhand of anybody. Well, it was the executive officer was a 24-hour seasickness case. He's been out there for 3-4 years, and I mean, a sharp guy. But being in the Navy on a small ship and being seasick, never got over it. It was just.
It's not like being on one of those flat tops where your displacement's like 22,000 tons and a wave is just going to go, eh. On a PC, you hit that wave.
Oh, it is. It's just that way. Yeah.
So I think it's pretty safe to say you had pretty good sea legs by the time.
Oh yeah, not a problem. Well, once in a while when we tie up at a dock, we get some of these movies we send for, and they would send up a movie, and we set up some chairs on the fantail and so forth. And some guy on the dock here, he said, "Hey, can I watch your movie?" Yeah, come on, Riff. And the guy, after he's on there for a little bit, he said, I think I gotta go ashore. He says, I'm not feeling it because the ship is always moving. It's
Now, with that being said, Don, we've actually been doing almost an hour and 40 minutes so far. So with that being said, I'm going to start wrapping up with some final questions. So one of my first questions is can you recall hearing about the atomic bombs being dropped on Japan, and what was your reaction?
I was in I don't know where I was, but I was in this class. I think I was at one of the universities, and this professor got up, and he was talking to this all-Navy class there, and he said, now I'll tell you what many of the nations of the world are working on. And he painted this picture of this animal. And he said, if this thing is developed, this will be the worst. So he painted this picture. And I think, yeah, it's interesting. Kind of sloughed it off, And then after I was standing outside by myself in the dark, like off a Guadalajara, dark out there, and I got the word that just came over our radio that that the A-bomb had been dropped. This is what this guy was talking about. It hit me just kind of, my God. And that was my emotion, different from the other guys who had not been at this particular talk that I was at. But I thought this guy was very serious. He was, and it was not hey, all you guys, hey, come here. It was for this small group. So
You're actually one of the few people I've ever talked to that was even aware of what the atomic age could even entail at that time. So when you heard that the atomic bomb was dropped, you actually understood the gravity of it.
Oh, I did, yeah, because his was information. This is suddenly, this information came true. And like he says, it's just, I thought, what does this portend? You know, who? Boy, it's a big one.
Now, prior to hearing about the atomic bombs, after Okinawa, the U.S. Navy, U.S. Army, and pretty much every branch under the sun started shifting towards possibly invading mainland Japan.
Yes.
Operation Downfall.
Yes.
Were you guys slotted in any shape or form moving up north for the possibility of operating off the coast of Japan?
Well, that's not up to us. And so we would go any place they said go.
But was that in the back of your minds by chance?
Oh yeah, that's possible. Yeah, but otherwise we were 1,000 miles from Japan, and didn't matter.
But with that being said, so atomic bombs are dropped. You know, Operation Downfall. Can you recall what you were doing and where you were when you heard about Japan unconditionally surrendering?
I think it was, well, it wasn't so much the surrender. The bomb took my emotion of, I mean, the knowing that bomb, what it was, and how big it was, as this guy described it, it would mean, because it was obviously a substitute for the invasion. And the immensity of it got me, and it has to this day. I have a book that's out now about after the bomb, the actual thing at Hiroshima, and it's all in quotes. It's not a storybook. It's this guy. Here's what this guy says about it, and it's telling about these people, these civilians who are there when this thing hits, and unknowing, you know, what's going on, and it was so monstrous that I wept, and it's a mighty thing.
For my generation, and subsequently every generation after the greatest generation, the atomic age introducing nuclear proliferation, even to this day, is still pretty much the prominent issue that could erupt as a result of World War III. And you're a living witness to that, and especially understanding the gravity. When you heard about Japan surrendering and the instrument being signed on September 2nd, 1945, were you concerned about the Soviets moving down the Korean Peninsula at that point, or communism in general?
I don't, you give me credit for more knowledge, more savvy than I possess, I think. But right now, I am very concerned. I just heard something about where Putin has said that he's thinking of lobbing a bomb on Germany and Great Britain, and I think, and now there's only one nation that can stop him, right here, and we do it. Now, who else? This could be the trigger to the whole thing. Just as when Japan, if the Japanese had not gotten into the war, it would have been a little bitty war. But that changed everything, and that flipped it into the World War and I think right now there's probably 25 U-boats out here in the Pacific right now, watching right now. We're certainly a target. However, I think Iowa is also. I mean, the sky's the limit, you might say. And
especially with one ICBM being able to deliver warheads.
Oh yes, yes.
One.
Yeah. And all my little ships are in the garbage pail right now. This thing doesn't even exist.
Patrol craft no longer exists.
Yeah, they can't. Yeah, and but it's a momentous time, and there's so many screwballs in this world, and.
With that opinion, actually, I'm kind of curious. Growing up in the Depression and seeing the rise of Nazi Germany and imperialist Japan, do you see or feel the same kind of, I guess, does the environment feel the same as it did in the 1930s as it does now? Well,
you give me credit for too much maturity. Because I was a teenager, you don't know more than to hang up your pants after you're going to bed, you know. But I think I look at this could be a continuation of something,
I think that's very poignant, especially even the fact of being even a teenager and being disconnected from world events, but still having some modicum understanding of what is happening internationally. And now your observation of what's currently happening in the world with Ukraine, Israel, Gaza, Sudan, Myanmar. There's probably about over 26, 27 active conflicts currently ongoing in the world right now.
Yeah.
And any one of them could be the match to the powder keg that eventually involves everybody, especially looking at Syria. What happened with the Peshmerga and the Kurds about a couple of weeks ago. But before we go on that topic, because I don't really need to record my perspective, what I want to delve into now is my last three major questions, which is, how did serving in the military affect you and your family?
Well, as it affected me, it gave me a good feeling of doing something worthwhile, something important, something that the nation needed so badly, so forth. And right now, of course, I'm the hero of my family. I've got, I just had one of my granddaughters just had a baby this morning, which is going to be her sixth one. And as an example, she has these in the bathtub. Yeah, and it's and she has them. Oh, we almost tell a joke. You didn't have a baby this morning, did you? I mean, but it's. I don't know. It's just.
It sounds like it had a positive effect on your life and your family serving in the military.
Oh, no question. Oh, there's no question that everything I got into was a positive. I've had so many positives along the way where I've been shoved into positions of responsibility at a young age. I mean, serious stuff. And it's been very, very gratifying, and I felt that it's made my maturity much better and better for my family too, only from the standpoint of I can talk to them from hey, this is really, you guys got to shape up a little bit. And
my second to last question to you is, Based on your life experiences, what message would you like to pass on to future generations?
To future generations, well, I'm a religious man, first of all, and I think that if we don't have a religious base, we don't have anything. And I think it's so important that we adopt this and be serious about it. These words are not adequate for the problem. I use my family again. My family is very big. Number-wise, and it's we're all Christian. There's no talk about divorce in my family at all. It's not prohibited, but I went through a long period with my wife, not because of what a terrible woman she was, but when she had a psychological problem that everybody could see. And instead of getting a divorce and finding some cutie that would be just for me, I stayed with it till she passed away. Now, she was a very good person, but but what this has done to my family is more or less, they look at us as they look at me as, well, one of the psychiatrists, when I was talking, I'll just give you an example. My wife, she took pills at one time to commit suicide, and I found them, so forth. And so it was not a total surprise, because she was up and down. She was an alcoholic, stuff, so forth and so on. But I went back to the psychiatrist that she was using, and I said, "What do you have? What can I do? What should I have done? What could I do?" And he says, "There's nothing you can do." He says, "The best thing you can do is get a divorce." Well, he missed the boat as far as I was concerned, because I didn't want a divorce. I know that if you get a divorce, in most cases, the woman is going to get the children. That's just the way the courts do it, that's all. And I say, there was just no way I was going to let her be in charge of the children, because of the immensity of the task for which she has no ability to, no matter what they do. So it wasn't like I wanted this little cutie over her instead of having this older woman, And so I was...
The priority was your family.
Yeah, and I've just gained this information. I mean, I've listened to my kids talk, and they throw in little bits about that they've talked about this, not to me, but down through the years, to where they all understood, and that if you can hang on for 71 years, but they see the problem, and they see the result of the problem, and so it's had a positive effect on my family. In other words, I'm not complaining about where I'm at. I'm saying what a miracle this is, that my family is as strong as it is. And there is no blame for my wife. There's no blame for her, because she didn't create this monster. And they give me too much credit for hanging in there. But also the feeling toward my family, I think that came from my mother, who came from this family of 11 kids. And her father killed himself when, in about 1932, 11 kids, he kills himself over in Norway. And I thought, why? Well, I don't know. She doesn't know either. In fact, the Norwegians don't talk about this at all. This is a terrible sin in their opinion. And she didn't want me to be told about it. In fact, one of my cousins told me, unbeknownst to me, and she said, oh, he shouldn't have told you. And I said, well, no, I want to know this. But anyway, this is where I'm at. And so this whole thing, you might say, about what I've got and what the final thing is so marvelous of what I've got in this family, and how it's turned out, and how this tragedy has turned into the greatest thing I could ask for, because it's well, just to give you a little, I was, was that Father's Day this year? Yeah. Father's Day this year, we had a meeting of the whole family, and so they asked me in front of all these people to say a few words, and I never thought about it as a grandfather, what I should be as a grandfather. So I told her right off the top of my head, and I got a call later from one of my granddaughter's wives, and she said, you said things that I had no knowledge of. She said, I have two grandfathers, both of which I have no contact with, and I shouldn't, and I've wanted this all my life, and so forth. Anyway, what this whole thing, she sprung out of the dark, and and the profit of this to our family has been immense, because I was pushed into doing something, which is amazing.
Perseverance.
Yeah. So that in a nutshell is the nutshell.
With that being said, I have one final question, which is, what does being an American mean to you?
Well, I think that America is the beacon of the world, and I feel so fortunate. So it's everything. I can't imagine being something else, and the opportunities of just being a person here is greater than any place I know of, and it's marvelous. My life, I couldn't wish for a life that is better than what I have or had. I wish for nothing. Nothing that you can offer me today would be something I always wanted. I've got it all. I am the I have this little thing with. I made this up from one of my granddaughters who's particularly precocious, and she's her mother is Chinese, so she's half Chinese, half Scandinavian, and say, so I had this where I say, did you know I'm the richest man in the world? And she looks at me just like you're looking at me right now. So, I am. And I say, you want to know why? Yeah, tell me. And I tell her, I'm the richest man in the world because I'm the only man in the whole world who could be your grandpa. And she said, yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, and she said, yeah. So then after she gobbled this down, this big part of her, I'm not crying. I'm just,
Tears of joy.
this is so funny. So she'll come up to me with one of her new friends, and I said to her, did you tell him I'm the richest man in the world? No, I'll tell. Yeah, he is, And this kid's standing there looking at you like this, and she said, yeah, you want to know why? And so she pulls this on him. Then they have so much fun on this, and they use this, I am the richest man in the world, not for me, for them. And I said, are you the richest person in the world? Yeah, I am. And Dan's absence. So it's worked out to be such a family joke, our little in joke, but it's so true, it's so perfect, and it's a true thing, and yet it's a made up fact, you might say. Anyway, end of the story.
Well, with that being said, Don, I want to thank you for your time today.
Well,
Actually, I had a quick question. Thank you, Sarah.
thank you for.
You to know exactly the perfect timing to put.
Do you have a little napkin? And then I'm doing so much crying and.
You're awesome.
Thank you. Did you have a question on this?
Yes, I actually did, and I was wondering if you could describe to me, is this your crew?
This is my crew here. Here's me.
You're sitting there
That's
looking
me
like
right
Clark
there.
Gable?
That's, yeah. Yes. And at this particular time, I was not the captain, but I am now, or I was when I got off there. And so this is our whole crew. There's our 3/8 that you were starting to ask about. And this is the bow out here. And this 173 feet, going back to this one right here. That's it.
And if I could recall, you guys had 3 AAA 20 millimeter mounts.
We do, yes. And a couple of 50 caliber machine guns on the bow, on the rear. And we have a 40 millimeter here. We have just one. Some of them have 2. And a couple up here.
And did you guys have any depth charge racks?
Oh yes. Those are our main things.
Did you guys have the Hedgehog versions too that shot out on the sides, or just the big cans that dropped off the back?
No. We have just the ones off the back, but we have the shooting kind off the bow.
Okay,
yeah.
So you guys did possess.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, with that being said, Don, that concludes our interview for today.
All right.
Thank you again for your service.
Well, my pleasure, and I've got to thank you for